Alright guys, so I quit smoking weed, right? Oh, look at these. These are hippies. Hippies. They're um they're vegan. Even though I'm not vegan anymore, I'll make another video about that. Maybe. If anyone even watches this video. Probably won't. But like I quit smoking weed because like I had smoked so much and I got sick. I started getting sick. Right? Because I was smoking so much. Like I was living in my van and I was smoking all day, every day, like a hippie living in a van, doing van life. And I abused it. Like I abused it so bad that I developed CHS, which is funny because it's a real disease. Don't you just love sage? Yeah, sage kind of smells like weed a little bit, but not really. I don't think. I remember before I smoked weed, I was like, wow, that smells like weed, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Anyways, so I quit because I got CHS. CHS, I forget what it stands for. It's a disease that if it you get it if you abuse weed. If you don't abuse weed, you'll probably never get it, right? But if you abuse weed like I did, then you'll get it. And well, you might not get it, but some people get it, like I got it. I think God allowed me to get it because I couldn't quit because I was an addict. I remember when I came back to Vegas after I quit, my friend called me up. He's like, dude, you are being a junkie. And I was like, wow, like, you're so right. When he used that word junkie, it all made sense because, like, I couldn't do anything if I wasn't high first. Like, I had to be high just to get high. I had to be high just to grind my weed. I had to be high to get more weed. I had to be high to even take a shower or brush my teeth or wake up, you know? And it was draining my bank account. Like I was spending the majority of my money per month would go on weed. Like I was spending $300 to $400 a month on weed. And that was way worse than when I was doing crystal meth. Like I didn't even spend that much. And it was controlling my life and I was begging God. I was literally at the end, I was begging God, like, please help me quit because I'm so sick, because my stomach was hurting so bad and I couldn't handle it. Like, I had to soak in the bathtub 3 hours twice a day. For 3 hours at a time, twice a day, I had to soak in a tub with hot water because my stomach pain was so intense. And I was like, God, please help me. And this is when my van, it was being shipped back from Virginia to Las Vegas. It got stopped in Mississippi, which, by the way, I wasn't supposed to ever go through Mississippi because I went to Virginia and back. I never went through Mississippi once. I've never been to Mississippi, but the driver towed my van back through Mississippi, which he towed it because I was too sick to drive it back. Like I was like, I can't spend a week driving this back. You know, I flew back to Vegas and I started abusing weed really bad because I thought I was only gonna be here 2 weeks, and I spent like $400 in 2 weeks, and and my van got raided, and the police they destroyed my home on wheels that I was living in for 3 months. They completely demolished it, and they uncovered like $300 worth of paraphernalia. They took my favorite pipe, which it really broke my heart. Like I was like, even if I quit weed, I'm still gonna keep this pipe because it was so beautiful. Like it was my favorite thing, and they stole that from me. They stole my vaporizer. They stole my bong. They They even stole rolling papers. When I say stole, it's because I never got it back. And really, rolling papers are legal. Like, why would you take rolling papers? And they shoved a camera. This is what they did. They shoved a camera in the gas tank looking for drugs. Like my van was a hippie van. Like it had tie dye. It had a hammock hanging in the back with marijuana leaves on it, and they treated it like a cargo van, like a cartel van, like hauling drugs. But all they found was 3 seeds, and but they destroyed my home. And when the van was brought back, I was distraught. Like I was like, wow. Like I couldn't even look at it for 2 weeks. I could not even go near it. And I think God allowed that to happen, because when I was living in the van, I never got stopped. I never got pulled over. God always protected me. And but I think God allowed my van to get raided because I had to quit. And once they took my favorite pipe, like that was like the last straw for me. Like I was like, well, I don't have my favorite pipe anymore. I guess I'll quit, you know. Like it was so bad, and I couldn't even imagine a day going by where I didn't smoke weed. Like I was like, God, I don't even remember what life was like before I quit, before I didn't smoke. I couldn't even comprehend, like, how could I even go back to a point in time where I didn't smoke. And and after a week of withdrawing, the stomach pain finally went away. I was finally cured of this CHS disease, and I went to church with my mom, and it suddenly dawned on me that this was the first time that I was sober at church. Like I had been going to church for months. During the summer, I would pray for everybody. I would get there and I would just worship God, and every time I was stoned, I would just worship God and I would just pray for people. And it wasn't like it wasn't like normal people. Like normal people get high and they just party and they have sex and stuff, but like I would worship God. I would be so thankful. I'd be like, God, thank you for this. Like I feel amazing, and I would just worship God. But I realized, like, I never went to church sober, and God was telling me for months. He was telling me, you have to quit, you have to quit. And I was like, but God, I'm not ready to quit. I'll quit when I'm ready. And that didn't please God, because I was putting weed before God. And one of the things you realize when you get really close to God is that you have to put God first in your life. If you want God's help, if you want God's forgiveness, if you want to make it to heaven, if you want all these things, if you want God to help you with your addictions and your problems, then you have to put him first. And I was not putting God first. I literally put weed first. And God did not like that. God didn't like that at all. And as soon as I put God first, like, the addiction was gone. All my addictions were gone. Like, I have no addictions now. I don't even smoke cigarettes. I don't even do CBD. I do nothing. Like, I know people that don't smoke weed, but they do CBD. And, like, God cured everything. I don't use CBD. I don't use tobacco. I don't use alcohol. I don't use prescription medication. I don't use anything. And that's because of God. Because God, I put God first. So God has blessed me with this sober lifestyle now. And it's wonderful that I get to wake up now and not have to smoke weed, not have to waste hours of my morning grinding weed and picking out, the smallest nug because I wanted to save all the pretty ones. And, like, my mornings would start with opening a jar of weed. And now my mornings just start with, like, thanking God, praising God, worshiping God. Like, I get to go to church and I get to pray for people. I get to heal people. I I get to just help so many people. Like, instead of smoking weed, instead of spending $400 a month on weed, like, I get to feed homeless people. I get to give my money to homeless people, and I get to help them. I remember the week I quit, like the next week, God told me to bring my Bible in the car, and I was driving around the whole day. I was like, God, why am I carrying this Bible around? Nobody wants it. Like, I thought my cousins wanted it. I thought I had to give it to one of them, but they didn't want it. And as soon as I was about to get home, on the way home, like a couple blocks away, I saw this homeless guy, and God told me to give him some money, and I gave him $20, and I started to drive away, and then I stopped, and then I looked over, and I was like, wait a second. And I turned, and I rolled down the window. I was like, dude, do you want a Bible? And he was like, yeah. And I just reached over, and I grabbed the Bible, and I handed it to him, and I was like, yes, that was why I carried the Bible around all day. Like, it makes me emotional because, like, God had a purpose for me to bring that Bible into my car, and if you put God first, you can help so many people. Like, this guy was young and attractive and clean, but he was homeless. He was down on his luck, and it just looked like one of my cousins or something on the street, and he was pushing a shopping cart with all his stuff, and it was cold that night, and he didn't have a tent. He didn't have anything. Like a block away, these people, other homeless people, had tents, and they were sleeping in their tents, but this guy, he had nothing, and I knew he was going to be out there all night alone and cold if I didn't help him, if I didn't give him money. And I gave him money, I gave him the Bible, and I told him that God loved him. I told him that I loved him. And I could never do that if I was stoned. I would have saved that money to buy weed. I would have spent that money on weed. I remember when I went to church with my best friend, like, I wanted to donate money, but I had $35 in my pocket, and instead of giving that to the church, to God, I kept it. And then I went home that night and bought more weed with it, and that was a selfish thing to do, to put weed before God, to put weed before helping a church that is under renovation, that needs money, that needs help. They don't have chairs for everybody, and that $35 could have bought more chairs. It could have fed some homeless. It could have did something. Instead, it just got, wasted. And when you put God first, when you give up your selfishness, your addictions, and you praise God, like, you're able to do anything. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to put God first, and that I'm not wasting my money on my selfish addictions. Like, people are like, oh, don't give to the homeless, or don't give to churches, but I'd rather give to a church, I'd rather give to a homeless person than go buy something selfish or to use it for sinning. Like, I don't want to use my money to sin. I'd rather give it to God and let God do what he needs with it. Because, like, having money just to sin is, I'd rather not have money and not be able to sin. You know what I mean? Like, I was so selfish. I spent thousands of dollars on weed and on drugs and on cigarettes. Like, if I never smoked cigarettes for 6 years, if I never, got addicted to crystal meth 2 years ago, if I never got addicted to weed, I would have thousands of dollars just in my account right now. Instead, it got smoked or snorted or gambled or stolen because I was an addict. And that's sad. It upsets me that I put drugs before love, drugs before people. I want to help people. I don't want to be a selfish drug addict. You know what I mean? And God helped me. Only with God's help, though, am I cured of all my addictions and completely sober. If without God, I could never be where I'm at now. I could never be safe. God kept me safe and sober. And when I quit smoking, like, I was able to save all my money and I was able to feed a lot of people. You know, I gave a lot of money to homeless people. And back in the day, I would have said no. I would have drove right past. I remember one time I was coming off the expressway and there's a red light and it's a corner where a lot of homeless people hang out to try to get money. And I remember this homeless person looking into my window, into my car, begging for money. Just had this sad look on their face. But what did I do? I ignored them and I just stared forward like they didn't exist. And I just think back to the moment when I was dying and I was 79 pounds and I didn't even know where I was, and I was lost on the street and nobody would come up to me and help me. You know, I was trying to hitchhike. I was walking door to door, literally door to door, banging on windows and asking somebody for help. And all I wanted was to know where I was. I couldn't figure out which way home was. I was stranded with no car and a dog, and I was dying and nobody helped me. Nobody. The only person that helped me was a person that believed in God, a person that worships God, and they drove me home. It was like an angel appeared out of nowhere and drove me home. And I know that this person was brought to me by God. Like, they didn't want anything. I offered them $20, you know, and they're like, no, I want nothing. I want nothing at all. I'll take you home and I don't want anything in return. And that was God. That was God helping me get home, because all the atheists and the non-believers, they didn't help me. They didn't help me at all. And that's why I know God is good. If you put God first in your life, amazing things can happen, and God will save you. God will look out for you. God will protect you. But if you don't believe in God, then you don't have this protection. You don't have this, you know, reality of where if you fuck up, God's got your back. You know, a lot of people that don't believe in God, when they fuck up, nobody has their back. And since I was always praying to God my whole life, God had my back. And that's why I put God first now. I put God before anything. Like, I don't have any pleasures now in life because I put God first. Like, God comes first before any selfish desire that I might have. I don't even care to have anything but God, because God is the only thing worth having, you know? Drugs, sex, you know, money, none of that matters if you don't have God. That's the truth. So that's why I quit smoking weed, and I encourage other people to quit smoking if they have a problem, you know, and put God first, because God loves you. This smells so good. Thank you guys. Love you.